Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sanchez, Jim Jonas, with another episode of Veterans in Politics. We have KALEAH CAGE, who's talking about the disgraced family court judge, Rena Hughes. Please continue, Mr. Cage.
Sealed case. I believe the case is sealed, inadvertently filed paternity motion. I've been pro se since the beginning.
So you don't have your own counsel?
That is correct.
Mm-hmm. Mom has counsel?
That is correct.
Who does she have?
She has Brian Blackham.
Is that her only counsel since this case started?
Well, I believe there's a couple other people in this law firm that he generally writes in the motion, but I haven't seen them.
Okay. So what did Judge Hughes do? That's a violation. What did she do?
It's a lot.
Well, name them. She's up for re-election, so people need to know.
That is correct. Well, she will ignore laws. She will.
What type of law she's ignoring?
So.
Or maybe she doesn't know the law because the Judicial Discipline Commission did a write-up saying that Judge Rena Hughes don't know the law.
Right.
And advised her to go back to judicial college at her own expense to actually learn the law.
Right.
And she doesn't know how to tell the truth either. Mm-hmm. That's what they say. Mm-hmm. I already knew that by spending 5 minutes in her courtroom. But tell me what type of law that she's violated.
Well, the first thing is I navigated the Supreme Court by myself. The very first hearing was reversed and remanded back to her.
You appealed to the Supreme Court on your own?
I did.
Outstanding.
Yeah. A lot of research, a lot of studying. I'm still not perfect, but I'm getting better. I learned through my failures.
Right.
And so the very first thing was the very first hearing that got reversed and remanded back to the Supreme Court, and that was my kid's mother wanted to stop paying child support. That's the crux to this entire case. She just wanted to stop paying child support. She makes a lot more money than I do, so she was paying child support for me for the past 5 years or so. And
she stopped paying child support on her own? Well,
she went to the court and said that her job stopped paying her, whatever that means. She got in a car accident, and she had to care for her mother, so she couldn't work. Mm-hmm. And so Judge Hughes held the child support in abeyance.
Okay.
And you can't do that. You have to follow NRS 125C.070 and .080. You have to follow that. She didn't do it, so it got reversed. And
what is that NRS for?
That is child support obligations.
Okay.
So that was the very first thing that she did. Second, then that's when my children's mother hired Brian Blackham, and they attempted to get temporary custody change. Right. They did that, and she didn't have any findings with that. Mm-hmm. There was no findings whatsoever. Actually, right after the court case, I went to an attorney and just gave him my paperwork. I said, "What's going on? I don't understand." And he read over it. He said, "She can't do that." He said, "What did you do?" He said, "You must have did something to piss her off." I said, "I don't know what I did. That's why I'm here. I don't understand." And so now I know, in retrospect, she did not follow she didn't have any findings, which is required by, I think it's NRS 125C.035 maybe, or 48, I can't remember. Mm-hmm. She didn't, so she didn't do that. Temporary hearing, the permanent hearing, she plagiarized the facts and findings and conclusions of law. So there was a closing brief at the end of the hearing. Everything, I'm talking about everything down to the punctuation marks that was in Brian Blackham's closing brief was the exact same thing in her facts and findings. Exact same. Later, when I went to the Supreme Court, Brian Blackham says, "Oh no, what that was, it was a proposed order, and it was based on my closing brief." Okay. However, and Rena Hughes requested that I do it, and I just followed directions. So when looking at the proposed order, EDRC 5.504, I noticed that proposed orders have to be done 3 days prior to trial, not after trial, 3 days prior to trial, and you have to give the opposition mail them a copy to amend. And
Sounds
things
like
of that
you know
nature.
more than the attorney.
I know a lot. I've been doing a lot of studying. It's been 3 years. So that's a violation of my due process 14th Amendment rights. She didn't give me an opportunity to even amend it, even if it was untimely.
I don't think
because
we need.
it's full disclosure. They have to disclose all their evidence to you, just like you would have to disclose all your evidence to them.
Correct.
Like they're not allowed any surprises.
Correct.
Is the way it's supposed to work.
Correct. And so-called based off of that, based off of the proposed order, which, again, violation of due process, and it wasn't done 3 days prior, so it's not proper. And so that was his argument for that. I think the biggest thing and the biggest cover up and everything else was when, now mind you, these attorneys, they can, especially in a seal case, they can bully litigants. They're trying to extract money. Mind you, my kid's mom has all the money, so he's pretty much getting paid from her, and she's so
and therefore
vindictive.
he could give a little bit to the judge for her campaign.
Absolutely. And I didn't even want to say that.
I
but,
did.
Yeah. Oh, but well, first off, it could be conspiracy, but people are getting paid. I don't know how it's
they're
working.
getting paid. They're not even using sometimes the lawyers that appear before them. They're using a friend or a different law firm, but money is being exchanged.
Absolutely. But I did find out that
They didn't get you to be they didn't get you for a vexatious litigant yet?
no,
Because that's how they
Right.
shut down pro se litigants. An attorney could file 1 million papers, and he's fine. He is defending his client. He's advocating for his client. But if a pro se litigant, which is a person that can't afford an attorney, was to file half of what the attorney files, all of a sudden that pro se litigant is a vexatious. That means that they're abusing the system. They keep filing, and then they shut them down and tell them that they can't file anymore.
Right.
Which is a violation of your constitutional right to defend yourself. It's so funny how it has double standards, isn't it?
right.
They didn't get you for that yet?
Oh, no.
Oh, that's common.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
common.
I'm sure they would. They
That's
would
common.
try.
And they like to seal cases or close hearings so you won't get to expose their bad behavior.
So explain real quick, if you would, closed case. What does that mean, and why is your case a closed case?
Oh, I believe it's because I inadvertently filed the paternity paperwork way back in 2006. Closed case means nobody can see it, nobody can view it, nobody can walk in.
Actually, a closed hearing, you can't see it for that day, but you get the video. But
Right, I do have the videos.
It has to be sealed for anybody to stop getting any videos. So it has to be a sealed
I just
case.
wanted to clarify that for
Yeah.
the viewer and myself.
Well, I do have the videos, so I don't know.
Well, the parties to the
extent
case
is-
could get the
Oh,
videos,
okay,
but I can't. The general public can't go get it if it's a sealed case.
Okay.
So what's the progress of your case right now?
Currently, it got sent back to the district court. I just went about 2 weeks ago to get the judge disqualified and had a litany of,
Did you go before the chief judge, Linda Bell?
I went before a senior judge. That I thought I was going to go before chief judge, but it was some senior judge.
Who's a senior judge?
I believe it was David. I can't remember the name. I wrote it down as. I believe it was David something. I can't remember.
Barker? Does that sound familiar?
It does not.
Jones?
No. Should have had that information. I'm sorry. I don't
fine.
have that information.
Okay.
Went before him. He cut me off right when I was getting to due process 14th Amendment. I was reading somewhere, but I gave the litany of all the laws that she broke. I mentioned.
Do you know a lot of the family court judges have no clue what the Constitution is?
I see now.
Can I just interrupt real quick? I know this might seem like an odd question, but so when you go into family court, and I haven't never been in a family court.
You should come court observer with us.
Yeah, I know. I'm usually working on Mondays, but this sounds like a weird question, I know, but when you walk into that courtroom, is there an American flag anywhere in that courtroom?
I haven't paid attention. I'm not sure.
Because here's the reason why I asked that question. Because if you have an American flag in the courtroom, and Steve, you know where I'm going with this, and it's just a regular American flag, that you're protected under the Constitution on that. But if it has fringes around the outside, you have no constitutional rights because you're under maritime law.
Fringes on the outside of the flag.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Fringes on the outside of the flag.
And you said that was a say it again?
It's
Maritime law.
Maritime law.
I come to think about it, I don't remember really seeing an American flag in any of those family courtrooms.
And the reason why I ask is because there was a court case, and I forget it was a gentleman. He went to the Supreme Court and sued a federal court judge in the Ninth Circuit, saying that his constitutional rights were infringed upon. And they said that his constitutional rights did not matter in that courtroom.
Absolutely, I believe him.
So
I meant to say, you had mentioned campaign donations. After all this, I was perplexed. I'm like, what happened? What is going on? I noticed that through the state of Nevada, that website, expense report, that Brian Blackham's law firm in 2014 donated to Rena Hughes's campaign. The money that I saw was $200. However, when you first off, I didn't donate, so you have $200 over someone who didn't, and then compared to, I think in that quarter number 3, there was only 20 people who donated to her campaign. So 20 people who donated to her campaign. He was one of them. So out of millions of residences, millions of businesses, 20 people donated. I would think that that's relevant.
in California, they have a law that said if an attorney donated $1,500 or more to a judge's campaign, the judge automatically has to put it on record and let both parties know, and then it's up to the parties to decide if they want to continue with that same judge.
That's fair.
And they should do that here in the state of Nevada. Keep it open and transparent.
Absolutely.
So where does your case stand right now?
The disqualification got denied, so I plan on appealing that. I plan on appealing that, absolutely. Ultimately, the child support portion got reversed and remanded back to the Supreme Court, so we have to wait on that hearing. And ultimately, I want my kids. I want my.
When's the last time you seen your?
Well, I see them, but I get them on the first, second, and fourth weekend of each month. So that's relatively about 6 days out of a month.
It's so funny because they have all these parents that don't want nothing to do with their children, especially fathers and especially black men don't want nothing to do with their children. But yet you got black men fighting for their kids, and then they isolate them from their children. So I'm trying to wrap my mind around it, and I'm saying, why are these people talking about that men of color run away from their kids, and then when you have a man of color that's trying to fight to be in their child's life, they isolate them? Why is that?
You tell me. I mean, it's hurtful. I feel like I'm in a twilight zone. I mean, for 3 years, I've been studying law. I mean, studying case law, just trying to interpret and understand. I never thought I would be doing something like that. It's to the point I'm taking an online paralegal class just to try to navigate the system. I'm calling attorney generals, FBI, legislators, just to be a part of my children's life. I mean, I'm fighting like crazy.
Isn't it unfortunate, though?
It's like the twilight zone.
The thousands and millions of dollars that put into the system, whether you pay for a third-party entity as a psychologist, or Donna's House, or or any of those, and then you pay for attorneys. Wouldn't it make more sense if a parent could put all these monies that they spend on legal bills into the children's education, like an educational scholarship? I think we'll have a lot more productive citizens in this country if we did something like that.
Absolutely.
You know, a lot more educated people.
Absolutely.
Instead of putting all these monies into lawyers and psychiatric care and all that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And if these judges would follow the rule of evidence, it would make life a lot simpler than have an attorney write a Hollywood play.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, in your case, is your ex-wife, is she, or the mother of your children, is she just basically, is she trying to take away your visitation rights, or is it more just she does not want to pay child support?
She doesn't want to pay child support. In order to do that, you can't have joint custody because she makes more money than me.
Oh, okay.
And so you have to change the visitation or get primary custody in order to do that.
Oh, okay.
Of course, she doesn't go and say that. She says, "Oh, he's bad. He's this," but there's
no evidence.
there's no basis to it. But even let's say her facts were true, it's still not enough to change custody because her facts are just so. It's so. One of the facts and findings was Corey went to the basketball game and yelled at my son, "Stop being lazy." First off, it didn't happen. But
you know what?
Okay.
If you're married to, I mean, if you're still in a relationship with your ex-wife, that wouldn't even have mattered.
Right.
She probably would have joined you. She probably would say, hey, you know, you should have yelled at him. He's
Right.
bad, you know. So I just don't understand how they twist these things around.
Right.
And one thing I don't understand is how people have theater and they make stuff up and the judges follow it, and how people bring in how other litigants bring in a mountain of evidence and they won't even look at the facts. They won't even look at the evidence. So, and one thing that really scares the hell out of me is when an attorney goes, well, I don't want to go up against that judge because I have all these other cases before that judge, and if I do something to piss the judge off on your case, they're gonna mess it up for these other cases. Is that law? Is that fair? Is that balanced? Is that legal? Is that what we become? A bunch of attorneys that are scared to present their evidence before a judge because they're scared that it might screw up another case a couple months down the line. It's really pathetic, though. That's why I say we need jury trials.
Right.
We definitely need jury trials in family court, especially termination of parental rights and relocation of children. We definitely need jury trials. I mean, our founding fathers didn't make the Constitution and say one person is judge, jury, and executioner, because that's exactly what family court is.
What do you think about this? About holding the watchdogs accountable? Because I actually went to the judicial committee and they just brushed me off. But if they're being held accountable, you have to follow the law. You have to do this instead of just whatever you think. So who holds these guys accountable? I know it's Attorney General.
And that's funny that you mentioned that because a few years ago they wanted to recall a judge. It was what's her name in North Las Vegas? Catherine Ramsey.
Yeah, Ramsey, yeah.
And not saying that she was bad or not, but the Supreme Court came down with a ruling and say you cannot recall judges because we have a organization in place to take out the bad judges. That's the Judicial Discipline Commission.
Right.
But the Judicial Discipline Commission is in bed with the judges because the Judicial Discipline Commission is made up of what? Judges and attorneys.
Right.
I mean, and they all belong to this organization called the Nevada State Bar that they pay dues in, you know, and they all around the same circle. They're on different ethics commission. They do different pro bono work. They all run into each other once in a while or often. But judges have all these layers of protection that I cannot understand for the life of me, although you can sue them in federal court. But in state court, you can't recall them. You have the statute of limitations. They have the statute of limitations as well. And they have judicial immunity, which as long as they're on the bench, they can't get charged criminally for anything they do, you know, unless you take it to federal court. you know, you know, I said they need term limits, you know, two terms and that's it. You're off the bench because this is just ridiculous because one person can't have all this power. You know, it just can't have all this power. That's not how our Constitution was formed, to give one person all this power, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. So when you have organizations that's calling them out, they're like a deer in a headlight. They're like, holy hell. Who the hell they think they are? Calling me out. You know what I mean? I'm the judge.
I saw that when you went to her judicial discipline hearing. She specifically, or the attorney specifically, called you out. I learned a lot and got a lot of information from that, and used that in my court cases. That hearing that you actually recorded. And so, yeah, that's exactly what
the Rena Hughes hearing.
Yes, it was in the Rena.
Oh, they didn't want me there.
Yeah, I thank you for putting it on YouTube, because that is that YouTube site is in quite a bit of my motions, pointing out specific things which she said that she doesn't do, what she did in my case. And so I appreciate that.
Judge Rena Hughes is a hypocrite.
Absolutely.
Please continue, Mr. Cage.
One of the biggest things, the biggest cover-ups is, and you have to ask yourself this: why? And I know why, and I think we all know why. Is May 17th hearing. The true reason for the hearing was to increase litigation costs, and I did have an attorney for the evidential hearing for about 3 months or so, and he wanted to get her off the case. So he did a motion to show cause hearing, which was frivolous, and that was May 17th, 2018. 2 years later, that order has not been filed. There's a reason why. 2 years later, the order has not been filed. And so, I mean, I can absolutely get into it, but we have to ask ourselves, why isn't that order filed? 2 years. 2
Why
years.
Is that?
Because it was corrupt. The order was corrupt. I mean, I have the minutes for it, and but the order was corrupt. When I went to the appeals board, when I filed my appeal, I didn't have any more money. I was exhausted, and my attorney was off the case. I then became on government assistance. I'm just, I can't pay bills, anything. So I filed an application to proceed in form of properous. And the rules, the statute says, the law says, if it's denied, that you have to state your reasons why, and transfer to the Supreme Court clerk's office. She did neither. What she did was she sent me an unsigned memo stating that it's denied. Unsigned memo stating that it's denied deceptively. Upon review of the application to proceed in form of properous, the request for an order to proceed in form of properous has not been granted. No reason, wasn't transferred to the Supreme Court. So I did a reconsideration.
Who sent you that?
This is Rena Hughes, Department J, actually.
You know, there's a couple of things that sparked when you were talking. Talking about that, and you also brought up contempt. A lot of these judges will have one of the attorneys write the order up of what took place in that courtroom that day. Okay, and it's funny because a lot of the attorneys that write the order up would twist things around,
of course,
and put stuff in that wasn't even brought up in the actual courtroom, and the judge, and they give it to the judge, and the judge will blindly sign it. So once the judge signed it, now it's order. It wasn't, and a lot of litigants come to me and say, well, that wasn't even brought up in the courtroom. That wasn't even discussed. That wasn't even before the court. But yet it's in this order that the judge signed. And a lot of these judges need to pay attention to what they're signing and go back and look at that tape and look at that transcript to make sure what was said in the courtroom is actually what's in the order.
I think it goes deeper than that. I think it's deliberate. I think the judge does look at it, and she does sign it.
Probably is. And another thing, you brought up contempt. Now here's the thing. And a lot of people go, why is veterans in politics not paying more attention to the Regional Justice Center? Well, the Regional Justice Center, you automatically have appeals, and you automatically, if you're being charged with a crime and you're looking at jail and you can't afford an attorney, they'll appoint a public defender to represent you, okay? But in family court, you're looking at contempt and you're looking at jail time, you can't afford attorney, you're shit out of luck.
Right.
So they say to you, well, that's civil contempt and that's criminal contempt. But a jail cell don't know the damn difference between a civil contempt and a criminal contempt.
Right.
You're just locked up. So if you're looking at jail time, they need to change the law. They need to change the law and have litigants in family court. If you can't afford an attorney to represent you and you're looking at jail time, they should appoint a public defender for you. Or since they say we're just civil judges, we're not criminal judges, then they need to take that case and forward it to a civil judge. Forward it to a criminal judge.
Thank you.
So the criminal judge can make that determination.
Thank you.
When a judge in family court saying that, we're going to have a contempt hearing on you, he's already biased. They're already pissed off. They want to do something. So they need to take themselves out of the picture because they're not biased because they want to lock you up. Right? And you have no jury, you have no public defender, and you're on your own, and you're going to get, and it's a scary thing for a lot of litigants because the law is not fair in family court.
Not at all.
And it's just absolutely utter bullshit.
Well, you know what? The laws seem to be fair. It's just not followed. That's the thing. It's just not followed.
But a civil contempt, I don't see, folks, I don't see the difference between a civil contempt and a criminal contempt. The only thing I know is I'm going to be locked up, and my freedom is taken away from me.
But I want to take it a step further. I think if you can possibly lose your children, some people like myself love their children more than life itself.
Exactly.
If you have the option, if you can lose your children, you should be appointed an attorney. I take it that deep.
You have a constitutional right to parent a child.
Well, and that's I'm glad you touched on that because this is one thing. Like Steve is much more educated on the family court system and things of that nature than I am. But here's the one thing that that really irritates me is because even though I'm not a parent myself, like I know people that are going through custody battles and stuff, and some family history that I've had over the years. The scariest thing for any parent, whether it's a mother or a father, is just the thought of losing their child and never being able to see their child again. And so when you get in that courtroom and you've done a really good job of educating yourself and understanding how the court system works to the best of your ability. But one of the things that I think is very unfortunate, and I really honestly believe that judges do this, is because they know, especially with pro se litigants, they can bully you to death because you are so scared of losing your kids. That's like your worst nightmare come true.
They hold that over your head.
That you're not going to take the time to make sure that you file a piece of paper specifically on time, that you're going to articulate every point of law the way an attorney would. And they know that they're holding that over your head. And that's the thing that they're basing it off emotion, not off the law. I know a lot of friends of mine that are attorneys that will not even touch a family court case. They're like, I don't even want to go into family court because even as an attorney, as much as I know about the law, the judges don't follow not all, but most judges in family court don't follow the law. So if I don't know what the rules are, then I'm not even going to go into that courtroom.
Well, they say 65% of litigants are pro se in family court. And that's a huge number.
It's huge.
And then the ones that are pro se, the judges try to make it difficult as possible for them to go get an attorney. And a lot of these people just can't afford an attorney. But one thing that's so funny is how they make you suffer, how they really hold that cloud over your head, although you can't afford an attorney. They have you pay for opposing parties' attorney. I'm like, if you can't afford your own attorney, how the hell are you going to pay for the other side's attorney? Really?
It's to keep litigation going.
Exactly. It's a big, family court is a big fraud. I tell people, do not go in family court. I tell them, go get yourself a paralegal. You and your significant other work the crap out, write it down on paper, file it with the court, have a judge sign off, and call it a day, man. Stop fighting over all this punitive bullshit.
I look at my situation. I think now that my kid's mother is in so deep, she probably feels threatened. She probably feels that she needs and she has to have, and so that's why she's spewing out money.
You guys need to swallow your pride for the best interest of your child. Swallow that shit.
Right. No, absolutely. It's all, it's definitely all a scheme. Before I lose my train of thought, I just wanted to mention on that former proper's application, when she sent me a memo, I sent her not a recertification, but a reconsideration, highlighted.
Motion for reconsideration?
Yeah, highlighted the exact same thing.
It's just a formality. They're not gonna change.
I know, but I was in the Supreme Court at that time. There's deadlines to the Supreme Court, so I had to be quick with it. Right. And before my case was dismissed in the Supreme Court, and I think that's why she sent me this unsigned memo. So I did a reconsideration, again, highlighted, and I said, look, specifically, you have to transfer to the Supreme Court, and you have to state your reasons in writing. This time she ignored it. She didn't send me a memo. She ignored it. She ignored it for several months. So I'm sitting in the Supreme Court waiting for several months. Eventually, the Supreme Court compelled her to answer the exact same laws.
They should have sanctioned her.
Thank you.
Like $10,000 to send a message.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Compelled her to do so in 30 days. Then she denied it. Eventually, it was overturned.
Mm-hmm. Because she probably knew it was going to be overturned.
Right.
She probably knew what a crappy ass judge she is.
Yeah.
And it was going to be overturned.
She did it to hopefully get my case dismissed.
So where do you go from here, Mr. Cage?
Again, I hate to give off too many of my strategies because
you don't need to.
Okay, but yeah, I got a plan and I'm working it.
Have you filed a complaint with the Judicial Discipline Commission?
I have.
Because I tell people, a lot of litigants go, it doesn't make any sense filing. I'm like, have a paper trail.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Have a paper trail, because if you don't do it, they're going to come back and say, well, we didn't know.
Right. I also transferred it to the FBI, the DOJ, the Attorney General, so there's paper trails everywhere. The first time I filed a judicial complaint was a couple years ago, a year and a half ago. Same facts. I mean, all these facts, and lawlessness has been going on since then. The goal for now is to not be in front of Judge Rena Hughes, because I already know what the outcome is going to be. Mm-hmm. So find other avenues to fight this case, because ultimately I just want my kids back.
Well, the Judicial Discipline Commission and the Nevada State Bar, I have no faith in those two organizations, and they're all being paid by tax dollars. So they should start really, really taking a good look at these corruptions in our judicial system.
How do we do that? How do we get them to hold them accountable?
Expose them, like we're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
Take them off the bench. Mm-hmm. I mean, like we're doing right now. Mm-hmm. When Rena Hughes ran against Ken Pollock, mm-hmm. the only reason why the powers that be wanted to get rid of Judge Pollock is because Judge Pollock wouldn't award attorney fees to the other side. Mm-hmm. And that kind of pissed off the attorneys, because they all want to get paid.
Right.
So.
Right.
And then they brought in this Rena Hughes person to take him out.
It seems like they take more time and energy trying to find out all the money involved in the case than they do about your kids. But yet and still they say, oh, it's the best interest of the children.
Yeah. So, you have anything else?
Just how that May 17th hearing, the order that still has not been submitted 2 years later, I used your video from her hearing about, she said she doesn't mention prima facie to litigants because it confuses a layperson. The attorney at the time filed rule number 11 sanctions against opposing counsel's attorney. And in order to threaten me or coerce me not to pursue that litigation, she said, well, first you have to have prima facie evidence. And if you don't bring forth, and if you bring forth this motion without the prima facie evidence, you're going to have to pay 100% of his attorney fees. So if she acknowledged the fact that using the term prima facie means to confuse a layperson, and she used it with me, then clearly she's in a sense admitting that she tried to confuse me by using prima facie so I won't bring forth that rule number.
She's
11
a hypocrite,
right? and that's bullying, that's threatening. It breaks all sorts of canons. This is the stuff that I brought to the Judicial Committee. I had documentation when I brought forth it, and then they pretty much gave me it was, I don't know, 20 pages long. I believe probably had case law and things of that nature, so it was well organized, well thought of, and they just gave me a paragraph said she didn't break any rules.
My favorite letters from the State Bar and the Judicial Commission, Discipline Commission, is that, well, we're gonna dismiss your case because of X, Y, and Z, but we have sent a letter to the judge and that attorney for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're gonna dismiss the case, why does a letter need to be sent to them for what?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Doesn't sound like a dismissal to me. It sounds like they screwed up, but you're trying to keep it on the cuff, and you don't want to have a public reprimand so other people would know
right.
what their corruption is, and that's why you're trying to do it quietly like that.
Unfortunately,
which is a bunch of bull.
I think litigants have to work through the Supreme Court. I don't know how. I hope they're not on the payroll, but they did reverse one of my orders, so it seems like they're fair. I saw that you got something overturned recently. Twice. Congratulations. So it seems like they're fair and honest, and so I don't have any complaints against them. But it seems like litigants have to navigate the Supreme Court, and it's difficult, and they have the option to.
And a lot of litigants don't know that.
Right.
They don't. They just think they're in this pigeonhole, and
right.
it's done. They don't know about the appellate or the Supreme Court, and it's unfortunate. They don't know that they could go as pro se. They think they have to hire counsel.
Right.
And a lot of them don't know that they could just hire a paralegal for a quarter of the price to do their motions. If they go to Nevada Legal Forms and Books, they got paralegals there. They could Google paralegal, and paralegals could pop up, and paralegals would charge them a quarter of what an attorney would charge.
True, but sometimes litigants don't even have that. They're struggling to live in check to check, doing things on their own. I encourage pro se litigants I know the task is daunting. Just open up the computer. You can just find old motions and, base your stuff off the old motions. Just keep going. There's ways to do it. There's laws for everything. And so if you can get to that point to get to the Supreme Court, appellate court, it looks like they are fair. They will overturn it if laws are broken. But, you can look at old motions, look at things like that. Just read, understand the law. It's not that hard. It really isn't.
No, it isn't.
And so,
and a lot of folks come up to me and say, hey, why are you going after all these judges? Not all of them are bad. And that's true. Not all of them are bad. But, the same time we go after these judges that are corrupt, we have also changed the mind of a lot of litigants that want to do some stupid crap to a judge or stupid crap to an attorney. And I can't tell you how many.
Why? Because they're so angry?
They're angry, and they say, well, I got this attorney's address, I got this judge's address, and I'm gonna do this, and I turn them away from that. So yes, thank you. You're welcome to all those judges and attorneys out there. I have saved your life, and you don't even know it. But let's keep it real, okay?
But you can understand that when you take someone's kids, just the helplessness someone feels. I can understand that, and thank you for that.
It's like there's a lot of these litigants. They want to be a parent,
right?
And you take away something that they breathed life into, whether they're the man or the woman, and created this beautiful child, and you're gonna take it away from them, and then if they didn't start out in family court crazy, they're sure as heck gonna be crazy by the time it's over. Then they're gonna need some therapy, psychological care, you know.
But I encourage everybody just to look at the bigger picture. I mean, you can do it. You can fight YouTube, Google. That's your best friend. You can do it. I can understand the pain and the hurt that you go through, but I mean, you can overcome. You just can. And it seems like the Supreme Court is our friend. I mean, they seem like they seem like they're just.
That's why they're called justice and not judge.
Right. Find a way to get to that Supreme Court if you find yourself in a situation like that, and work from there. Learn from your mistakes.
Well, the Supreme Court doesn't do anything on emotion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like you, Mr. Cage, because you reminded me of my ex.
Right.
You know, and my ex really screwed me over. Or I don't like you, Mr. Cage, because what you've done, the patterns of what took place in your case, it just resonate with something that happened with me.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't like you because what are you? You Christian? Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I don't like Christians at all. Matter of fact, I don't like that tie you're wearing right now. Justices don't go off of emotion. They just go off of facts and evidence, and that's it. And that's how a judge that sits behind the bench needs to go.
Right.
Facts and evidence, that's it. No emotion, just facts and evidence,
Well, I want to thank you very much for coming on, and I really want to also thank you for taking the time to not allow the judge to intimidate you, and to try to, even in a very emotional situation, take the time to remove some emotion from that and do your research and due diligence. Steve and I have interviewed so many people over the years that have been in very unfortunate situations in family court, and unfortunately have allowed emotion to really take hold of them and not work the process the way that they could. So I really want to commend you for doing that.
Thank you very much.
I'm glad you brought up about emotion. A lot of people ask me, why am I so involved in family court? And it's simple. Because I like to learn from other people's mistakes. I try not to make them my own if I can learn from other people's. And if this corruption is knocking on your door, Mr. Cage, or your door, Mr. Jonas, it's easy for me to be rational and to be diplomatic and to try to calm you down and say, let's work through the system. Let's use the law to better serve your situation, okay? But if it's knocked on my door, I'm not going to be so diplomatic and rational. I'm going to go off of emotion, and emotion is love and hate, right? So if you're going to take my child away from me, what do you think I'm going to want to do to you? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's why I like it when it's knocking on everybody else's door. And I encourage everybody that's out there, whether it's knocking on your door or not, be involved. Get involved in this family court. These judges are the bottom of the ballot, okay? We need to start mindset and put them on top, because a judge's decision impact your life immediately for the rest of your life. Okay, immediately for the rest of your life. And I know a lot of you people, you want to look at the Senate race and the Congress race and the president race, and by all means, do look at those races too. But those races don't impact your life on a personal, extremely personal level. These senators and congressmen are not going to take your kids. You know what I mean? They're not locking you up. Although we do need to change a lot of laws with our assembly and our state senate, and we need to pay attention. Legislators out there, we need to pay attention to family court law. We need to revamp it. We need to change it. We need to amend it. And there's laws in place too. They're federal laws. They're federal laws that says that when it comes to our veterans, that a judge cannot move forward on a court hearing if the veteran has an order out of the jurisdiction. They're supposed to put a stay on the case because it's a Servicemen's Civil Relief Act. They're supposed to put a stay on the case and not move forward. And there's a lot of judges out there that have no idea of federal law, and they still move forward on cases. And then there's another law that says service-protected disability benefits are protected. So they can't even follow federal law, so we had to get a state law so they could follow federal law that says you can't touch service-connected disability benefits. But in the state law, it says alimony. But the federal law says everything. You can't levy it, you can't bankruptcy it, you can't garnish it, you can't do nothing to it. But these judges have no clue on what federal law is. You guys need to go back to school. You got anything, Jim?
No, I'm good.
You want to close out and just if you want to give your point of contact or anything like that, you can as well.
I
Look at the camera.
I don't have any sort of well, I do have a Facebook, but I'm not active on Facebook. I try to stay these, when you're in situations like this, they'll use anything. They'll use a picture and consider you bad. So I try to stay away from any type of social media contact. I mean, I guess but I do have a Facebook. So if you do need to contact me, it's K.CAGE, so K.Cage. I use it so little, I don't even know it. K.CAGE, I believe just at Hotmail. I mean, at Facebook. And so that is my Facebook. So you can always reach me there. No really contact. I try to just, just head in the books, just try to stay connected with this. It's been 3 years, so I am, trying to navigate the system, fight for my kids. More than anything, I really want to appreciate you guys for bringing awareness, having a platform for someone like myself. I think if you're anything like me, you may be quiet. You don't want to expose the situation. I mean, it's kind of personal. It's hurtful. But I encourage you to find a way to just be active, just to go, to reach out. I mean, there's a lot of us out here. That's the one thing that I did notice. There's a lot of us. Most of us are quiet. Let's stop being quiet. Let's just make noise. I've also contacted the news organizations. I'm so upset, and I want to save all Nevada families. I want to just expose the truth. I'm ready to get the story out. I want to, I don't care even after the situation, and I know it's gonna, I know it's gonna get better. I know this is temporary, and when I do get my kids back, I still want to continue, to continue the fight. But I encourage everybody, just get out your comfort zone, speak on it, and there's a lot of us out here. You're not alone. I thank you guys for for being active, and even though it doesn't affect you directly, being involved. You're giving a voice to the voiceless, and I'm extremely appreciative of that, and very thankful. And bless you guys.
Thank you, Jim.
Oh, good. I just appreciate you coming on. It's not an easy thing to do. Mm-hmm. It's really not. It's such an emotional thing, and like it takes a lot of courage to come on and talk about that stuff.
And also, if people don't know, UNLV has a class that would show you how to best represent yourself in court for pro se litigants, to help them represent their self before a judge, and what to do, what not to do, how to present your case. So I encourage anybody that's a pro se to go and look about that class and take that class. But since we're talking about the corrupt judge Rena Hughes, mm-hmm. and we are in the middle of an election, I encourage everybody, do not vote for Judge Rena Hughes. If you do, you get exactly what you get. Okay, the Judicial Disciplinary Commission says Rena Hughes does not know the law, and that she's a liar, which she is. She's both. She doesn't know the law, and she's a liar, and she's very revengeful. And I'm surprised to see that you're a male litigant mm-hmm. before her getting the shaft, because she's been going after female litigants like crazy. I don't know if she never got a hug when she was growing up, or she hates her mama. Or Rena Hughes doesn't even have children, and it's funny because I always say that if you're in family court, you should be married and have kids. I mean, it's family court, right? You should be part of the family, right? You should have your own personal stuff, family. But there was one judge that I've noticed that doesn't have any children and not married, and he did an excellent job, and that was Judge Ken Pollack, who got replaced by Rena Hughes. Wow. Matter of fact, Rena Hughes, I believe she has 1 or 2 different divorces, okay? Wow. But she doesn't have any kids. So I could understand with her, not with everybody that don't have children, with her, she can't show that empathy and compassion, especially like how she did that little girl she chastised in front of her courtroom. Right. So if you have any sense at all, and you want a better judiciary, especially on the family court bench, do not vote for Rena Hughes. She's bad for this community. She's bad for the bench, And I could tell her that to her face if I saw her. But do not vote for Rena Hughes. She's been disciplined, and now her case went to the appellate court or the Supreme Court, and we're still waiting for a verdict on that to see if they're going to uphold the decision of the Judicial Disciplinary Commission. But again, do not vote for Rena Hughes. If you vote for her in spite because you don't like me, that's a bad way to do it, folks. I mean, I'm not before Rena Hughes. She can't do a damn thing to me. I'm not before her. I'm not a family court litigant. Please understand that. I am not a family court litigant. Jim and I are not family court litigants. We only do this because we care about this community and we want the best for this community. And a lot of people can't see past that. They think we have some kind of ulterior motive. We don't. All we get is criticized and put to the side, and these hecklers out there try to discredit and isolate us. And you judicial candidates out there run with your tails between your legs, which is pathetic. You know, pathetic. But you know, you got to do you. You got to do you. And remember one thing: you pay your political consultant. They don't pay you. Okay, so you are the boss over your political consultant. Although you hire them to best advise you, sometimes the advice is no good. Sometimes they might have an ulterior motive or a bias that you don't know about. Pay attention. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jones for Veterans in Politics. Thank you so much, Mr. Cage, for coming on the program. We encourage anybody that has an issue with family court or any of the judiciary to give us a call, and we'll put you on, and we'll have an open and transparency, and we have a nice discussion. So to educate others on the do's and the don'ts. Again, Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, Veterans in Politics. Until next time.